Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the second Meet the Candidates event. Almost exactly a month ago, we had the Meet the Candidates event hosted by Brian Tyler Cohen, and it was so much fun that we decided to do it again. And boy, that was that was a good decision because the lineup that we have for you here tonight is pretty exciting. So if you are new to Zoom, you should click on the chat button at the bottom of your screen so that you can see everything that's happening over there on the right in the column. There's going to be some links put in there. There's lots of back and forth from people that are watching. It's super fun to watch what's going on there, as well as listen to the candidates and to Brian Tyler Cohen and watch the videos that are happening. Speaking of videos, it's a good idea to make your screen full, as big as your computer will let you, so that when we play videos, they come up nice and big for you. So yeah, do that for sure. Now to get to Brian Tyler Cohen, who is among the most watched progressive political commentators on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. He also hosts one of the top-ranked political podcasts in the U.S., No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, with recent guests including Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Jamie Raskin, and so many more, including guests that we had on our previous candidates event. So now that Field Team 6 has introduced Brian, here's Brian to introduce Field Team 6.
Hello,
Do
everybody.
you remember that Batman movie where the supervillain does something horrible and Batman gets super depressed and gives up? Or how about in Black Panther, where he gets so exasperated that he re-ups his Netflix subscription and spends the next 6 months on the couch? Yeah, me neither. What I'm trying to say is that heroes don't give up. And that's why I have to tell you about an organization called Field Team 6. They are a volunteer army on a simple mission that I think will resonate with a lot of people. Registered Democrats save the world. Since they started in 2019, they have helped register millions of Democrats to vote in swing states. These were the voters who helped eject Trump from the White House and who gave Democrats control of the Senate. And right now, Field Team 6 is working on registering enough Democrats to expand our Senate majority, hold on to the House, and once again save our democracy itself in November's midterms. Field Team 6 registers Democrats every way possible, with in-person voter drives and digitally, with phone calls and text banks, ads and emails, with over 500,000 postcards in 1 year, and social media storms that have generated hundreds of millions of impressions. And they're pioneering new ways to register Democrats all the time, and that's because they don't give up. I've seen enough movies to know that when things are darkest, when all hope seems gone, this isn't the end of the story. It's the end of Act 2. Right now is when we write Act 3. So please, go donate, volunteer, or do both at fieldteam6.org because you control the end of this story.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen. I host daily breaking news videos on my YouTube channel. I also host the podcast No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. But tonight, I am more than proud to be here hosting this event. As you know, Field Team 6's mission is to register Democrats specifically in swing states and districts. Why? It's so that those new Democrats who turn out It's so that those new Democrats who can turn out to elect the candidates who will save the Senate, save the House, and save democracy this November. Tonight, we get to meet those candidates. Now, because we have so many amazing candidates here tonight, we're going to ask that each one limit their comments to 3 minutes. So now, let's get a quick intro into Field Team 6 from its founder, Jason Berlin, who will also obey this 3-minute rule.
Good luck with that. You may have lip read saying. Hello, I am Jason Berlin. Thank you so much, Brian Tyler Cohen, for hosting, Dale for setting this up, and all the amazing politicos we're going to have on here tonight. Who there are champions that you are making it possible to elect. So I'm the founder of Field Team 6. Our stated mission is register Democrats, save the world. And of course, the people who actually do most of the world saving are our volunteers and donors, and even more than that, the voters who we register, who are a large majority women, young people, and people of color, the new American majority. We do proudly partisan voter registration in person and digitally. That is our unique niche in the activism landscape nationally, besides the in-person voter drives, to do our digital outreach, which includes text banking, phone banking, postcards, social media storms. We use a database of, right now it has 8 million. At its height was 12 million, but some of those people got registered. So right now we're working with 8 million contacts for people who are not registered to vote, but they are deemed likely Democrats and they live in swing states. That's our magic secret weapon database that we use for all of those things. And that database is at the service of any partner organization, any like-minded organization that wants to use that and help us do this outreach. We can't do it alone. And the only reason we are so effective is because we have such great partners. Our goal is to be of service, not just to the eligible voters who we register, but to the organizations on the ground. So we empower each other and we work through them, defer to them on all matters of scripting, messaging, because they know their voters best. So it's all together that we do this really effective voter outreach. Effective because to date, we have helped register over 1.5 million Democratic voters across the country in vast majority in swing states and districts. We register them so that we can elect some of the people who are on this call tonight. I want to say that right now, there's a lot of pain out there, and I wouldn't wish this pain on my worst enemy. You know, it's pain from the overturning of Roe that is catastrophic. It's pain from LGBTQ plus rights being in the crosshairs. It's pain from the ongoing climate crisis. There's a hurricane in Florida right now. You know, our hearts are with our friends there. The ongoing gun violence. All of these things are causing pain, and it is our job as good organizers to turn any crisis into an opportunity and to turn this pain into awareness and into more new Democrats. You know, we empower each other, and that is how we win. That's how we turn all that pain into something good and something that will cure all these problems. To all these complex problems, there is a simple solution, and that is empowering each other. That is registering more Democrats in swing places, and that's what we're doing. We are meeting people where they are, in their pockets, on their phones, with a text, on the computer, with an email, or a social media storm, or in person, walking right up to them and saying, hello, can I register you to vote? You know, as a Democrat. So pundits say we can't do it. Don't drink the poison. Just keep doing the work. We're 42 days out. If we keep doing the work, we are going to save the Senate. We're going to save the House. We're going to save the democracy. You got this. I wouldn't want to be on anyone's side but yours. Keep going. And back to you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, Jason. Almost close to that three minute window there. Okay, now it's time to hear from our candidates. Now, to kick things off, let's go to the great state of Florida and meet Adam Hattersley, who is running for the Chief Financial Officer of Florida. Also news to me, there are chief financial officers in states. Now, after earning a BSc and MSc degree in aerospace engineering, Adam spent 8 years in the Navy as a nuclear submarine officer, earning a Bronze Star for his service. So while you don't need to be a rocket scientist to serve, he kind of is a rocket scientist. His service continued when he won a seat in the Florida House of Representatives, where he fought to lower healthcare costs, protect victims of sexual assault, honor veteran service, and protect public education. He even wrote a book about his experience, Accidental Politicians, which has 5 stars on Amazon, by the way. Adam is also an internationally certified judge for men's gymnastics. So when he says he'll bend over backwards to make a deal, he means it. That one was Jason's joke, just so we're clear. Now, he's running to be Florida's next chief financial officer on a platform of transparency with state funds, keeping insurance costs low, and protecting Floridians at work. Please welcome Adam.
Hi, thank you all so much for having me tonight, and thanks to Field Team 6. My name is Adam Hattersley. I'm the Democratic nominee for Chief Financial Officer in Florida. A lot of states call it the state treasurer. It's one of the top elected positions in the state, a statewide seat on the Florida cabinet. Sorry, it's a little grainy for me. We are directly in the path of Hurricane Ian. It should be arriving here in about 5 hours. So we're worried about our power. We have a couple of friends staying over who are in a flood zone. But thank you again so much. This is the chance we have here in Florida to not just flip the state, but flip our governor's race and finally stop Ron DeSantis from doing all of these ridiculous political stunts that you've seen across the nation, to pick up a seat in the US Senate with Val Demings and really save our democracy, because we can do that right here in Florida. If we're able to stop Ron DeSantis now, and if there's one position that we want to win, if we can't stop him by winning re-election, if we can take this seat as the chief financial officer, it's also the state auditor here in Florida. So if there's one way we can ever stop Ron DeSantis from becoming president, it's by winning this race and flipping Florida blue here in 2022. So thank you all again so much. I'll take not even the 3 minutes, because again, the storm it's starting to rain now. I'll put a little note in the chat with my website, but we'd love to get your support. This is the closest statewide race that we have. We have a poll in the field right now that's showing very favorable results. We can win this seat. We can win Florida. We can flip Florida blue, and we can keep the Senate and stop what's been going on in our country right now and bring back democracy. And we can do that with all of you. And again, thank you so much for having me on tonight. It's really been a pleasure and an honor to be with you here and people all across the country.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam. And I speak for everybody here in saying that we hope that you stay as safe as possible, you and everybody around you. So thank you for taking the time to come and speak to us tonight. I should also note that in the 2020 cycle, Field Team 6 helped register almost 150,000 Democratic voters. And so they're working every single day to add thousands more who can help you get elected. And while this evening is about meeting the candidates, it's also a chance for all of us to meet some of the activist heroes on the front lines who are registering Democrats who will elect these great candidates. So let's meet some of Field Team 6's most effective leaders. First off, she's a force of nature. When she's not volunteering with Field Team 6, she volunteers for a suicide prevention hotline. She's a professional singer who uses her voice to lift up the voices of others. At Field Team 6, she's not only leading phone banks and spearheading donations drives, she's also the czar of in-person voter registration, Gina Harris.
Well, some people ask me, why Field Team 6? I mean, it's such a weird name. And I say, well, give me a list of the organizations that register Democrats. And they pause and they look around and they say, gee, I can't think of any. And I say, bingo! My name is Gina Harris, and I live in San Francisco, California, right by the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm a singer-songwriter and vocal coach.
The magic of ordinary things.
And with my cohort in crime, Mervis Rysick, we train people how to go out in person and register people in Georgia, in Florida, and in Wisconsin. Now, I believe in text banking and I believe in phone banking, and you should do whatever you're comfortable with. But in person is a secret superpower. I'm only one person, what can I do? So you walk up to someone, hi, would you like a button? You're giving something. You're already having a positive engagement. And people go, well, what's it for? And do I have to buy that? No, we're just trying to get the word out. And so conversation is begun. And even if you don't register anyone, you're canvassing. You're getting the word out. You're talking about things that matter to people. It's positive. And the Republicans run away. The way we're going to bring our democracy back from over the cliff is to register Democrats. And we can do it and we can have fun. As I always say, you can have the Buddhas will help you. The Buddhas will help you. I care and I want to get through the Zoom two-dimensional stuff. So my job is to get people voting. When people vote, Republicans don't win. Yeah. And so that's what I try to do. People ask me sometimes, there are the things you shouldn't say. And I say, of course. You should never say, what a piece of Trump is, because that wouldn't be nice.
Excellent. Thank you so much to Gina. Now, I'm very proud to introduce John Lira, who's running for Congress in Texas's 23rd congressional district that encompasses a lot of southwestern Texas, including Uvalde. John has always been a hard worker since his first job as a busboy in San Antonio at age 16, and his journey of service began with 11 years in the Marines. He went on to become a student of public policy, and he's now ready to fight for stricter gun safety laws, reproductive freedom, plenty of new green energy jobs, and a comprehensive, humane reimagining of our broken immigration system. He's been endorsed by Beto O'Rourke, as well as the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Now, please welcome Texas's new congressman for the 23rd Congressional District, John Lira.
Good evening, Field Team 6 and all the folks on the Zoom. Great to be here with y'all this evening. Like you said, my name is John Lira. I am running in Texas' biggest and most competitive swing district we have, Texas 23. It starts in San Antonio. It goes all the way across West Texas to Uvalde, includes towns like Uvalde, where we just saw that horrible school shooting, one of the most horrible school shootings in our nation's history. It has towns like Del Rio and Eagle Pass, where we're seeing the footage of the asylum seekers crossing. So tons of opportunity in this big, expansive district, but also tons of challenges that must be addressed at the forefront of Congress. So absolutely right. The seed of service was planted in me as a young man when I raised my hand to enlist in the United States Marine Corps. They gave me a job as an intelligence analyst, and I used my GI Bill to build on that. I went and served in DC at AmeriCorps, helping veterans and military families transition, the Small Business Administration, where I helped veterans become entrepreneurs, and a National Commission on Service that built pathways for more of America's youth to serve, not only in the military, but in public service and in community service as well. So I'm honored to be in the arena to take on Tony Gonzalez, who's the most vulnerable Republican in the House of Representatives. Fun fact, this is also a 3-person race. A very far-right MAGA Republican has come in to directly challenge the Republican incumbent for the very far-right voter base of the bloc. So just like in Alaska, when 2 Republicans bump head, the Democrat goes to Congress, and that's exactly what we're positioning ourselves for here. So it would be an honor to have your support. Please follow and like us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, liraforcongress.com, if you feel inclined to help us out, especially at this most recent fundraising deadline at the end of this month. So thank you very much to all.
Awesome. Thank you so much to John. And for everybody else watching, again, just to reiterate exactly what he said, that is the race to watch down in Texas. Okay, now heading on over to the great swing state of North Carolina, I'm very proud to introduce a true superstar, Justice Cheri Beasley, who, by the way, I just interviewed a week or so ago on my show. Cheri Beasley is a mom, she's a former public defender, she's a judge, and she's the first Black woman to serve as Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court. She spent her entire life fighting to uphold law and keep communities safe. And as a U.S. Senator, she'll fight to lower costs, to create good-paying jobs, and to expand access to affordable, quality healthcare in every part of North Carolina. She's running against the Trump-endorsed Republican Ted Budd, and as Justice Beasley says, this Bud's not for you. Here she is by video. Please welcome North Carolina's next Democratic Senator, Justice Cheri Beasley.
Hi, I'm Cheri Beasley, and I'm proud to be the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in North Carolina. My husband Kurt and I raised our twin sons in North Carolina, and I've spent my life serving the state as public defender, judge, and Chief Justice of the North Carolina Supreme Court, working to keep our communities safe, uphold the Constitution, and protect our rights. I want to say a huge thank you to Field Team 6. We have a real chance to turn North Carolina blue in 2022, and that's because of each and every one of you. I'm so appreciative of all the phone and text banks, writing postcards, sending emails, and in-person organizing you are doing to help register voters in North Carolina. Go Field Team 6. Register Democrats and save the world. Thanks again for all your work.
Excellent. Thank you so much to Justice Cheri Beasley. And by the way, just to reiterate the extremism of her opponent, this is a guy who has already voiced his support for a national abortion ban. So if you needed just one more reason to support Justice Cheri Beasley, that's it. Field Team 6's goal is to help register another 150,000 Democratic voters in your great state by the election. And I'm talking about North Carolina here. So thank you to Cheri Beasley for firing us up. And now let's hear from a true Field Team 6 superstar volunteer, a young woman with a nonstop parade of incredible ideas, Eliana Sirota.
My name is Eliana Sirota, and I live in New York City. I'll be moving to Northampton, Massachusetts for college in the fall, though. I am leaning towards classics and government.
The greatest responsibility rests with we, the people.
They're both things that I'm super interested in. For Field Team 6, I run the Instagram account. I wanted to work with Field Team 6 because I think getting people out there to vote is really, really important.
If you want change, you got to make the change. You can't just sit at home.
I had no previous experience with Instagram or like running a social media account. I just kind of was thrown into it. Whee! But it seems to be working out well. Yeah. So I make memes, I make posts, try to engage people with voting and registering other people to vote. I use some of the assets Field Team 6 already created, and sometimes I create my own. It seems like memes are usually the way to get people's attention, kind of draw them in with something funny, and then start talking about how important it is to vote. We are in this situation where Roe v. Wade was overturned because people didn't vote. Like, that is the direct cause. So people just have to vote. They really just have to vote. One thing that I really like is to give a shout out kind of to a specific volunteer, because I think it's really important to give voice to all the hard work that people are doing. A lot of the time it feels like it can kind of get drowned out by all the terrible news. Significant follower growth has been created since I started working on it, so I'm kind of proud of that. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been enjoying it a lot.
Okay, thank you so much. Now it's time to hop on a plane to the swing state of Oklahoma. Oh, what? Cue record scratch sound effect. I know what you're thinking, but Brian Tyler Cohen, did I hear that right? Oklahoma is not a swing state. It's one of the reddest states in the nation. First of all, I apologize. I thank you for thinking of me in my full name. And second, this is how a state becomes a swing state. One brave, visionary candidate at a time. You know, we can't win everywhere if we don't run everywhere. And the way we win is with candidates like Madison Horn, who's running for Senate in Oklahoma. Born a Cherokee Nation tribal citizen in a small farm town, Madison built a career within cybersecurity as a respected and trusted servant leader. Despite starting in a place where 68% of women are unemployed, she beat those odds to become a global cybersecurity leader with a decade of experience. So shattering expectations is nothing new to her. She's running to restore trust in government, address rising costs of living, and defend reproductive rights. But most of all, she's running to bring logic back to politics. Please welcome Madison Horn.
Wow, what an introduction. I think I need you before every single speaking engagement. Thank you. I love the fact that you made the, little gap around Oklahoma being a swing state, because it used to be. We are a state that is incredibly disenfranchised. Individuals don't realize what is going on in the state of Oklahoma because it is that flyover state. Even individuals who live in the state or have ran for office have not visited every corner. My campaign, the first 100 days, almost 200 days, we spent the entire time traveling to every single county. There are 77 counties in my state, and we are the only campaign to do it in the last 10 years. Last 10 years, let that settle in for you. So no one has really known the pulse on the state. And there's been so much trauma that's happened here in my state. We're the end of the Trail of Tears. We're the last state where slavery ended. My funny gaffe is that we're the last state to get the telephone. That's just kind of funny. But the other pieces are, I'm from a town that has the lowest life expectancy in the US. my hometown is very similar to the rest of the makeup of this state. And when I talk about that is really is, I think, drives home the point of how disenfranchised it is and how much it's just not incorporated into more of our urban cores. But this year is an exciting year because for a number of reasons. We've never had a woman US senator, and there are a number of women getting engaged. We are now with 60% of our new registered voters are women. So we're seeing a lot of that changing dynamic like we did in Kansas. We're having our tribes coming out in droves, registering their tribal citizens to vote. We are the largest population of Native Americans in the US. Obviously, he hit on the fact that I am Native American, so that's motivating folks to come out as well because we haven't had a Native American represent our state. And so there's just so many things that are changing. And our polling with all of our women statewide candidates is showing +4, +1, and my polling is coming out in just a couple of weeks. So we are so excited to what's happening here in Oklahoma and really innovating ourselves as a campaign as well, leveraging my experience in cybersecurity to really show the power of a grassroots movement and the need to get money out of politics. And so I'm very proud of our little campaign that could here in Oklahoma and hopes to really elevate the possibilities and the change that's possible here.
Excellent. We're going to keep you here for a second. I'm also going to open it up to those listening in the chat right now. So if you have a question for Madison, throw that in the chat. But in the meantime, while those questions are being thrown in there, I have one myself, and that is, how has Roe changed the landscape in Oklahoma? Because obviously, you look at a state like Kansas, for example, which is otherwise a traditionally red state, which prior to this latest referendum, people could kind of write off. But obviously, the calculus has changed, and so kind of every state seems to be in play now. So what have you seen happening in your state?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one point that I already made, which is, like I said, very similar to Kansas, is the rise in women registering to vote. And it's so funny. I got a call yesterday saying, there's some women who wants to meet with you. And I'm like, I love great, powerful women. Let's do it. I show up and it's mostly Republican women who are saying, I'm done. I'm absolutely done. And I'm like, okay, let's go. What do you want to do about it? And they are starting an organization themselves to help get young people out to vote, get young women out to vote. And I didn't see prior the number of young women in this state really getting engaged. They would say, well, I live in Oklahoma, nothing is going to change. I said, not with that attitude, right? And now I don't have to do that. I show up to college campuses and there's hordes, and I say hordes, that's probably not the right word. There are tons of women who are saying, what can I do? And they're like, do I need to tell my boyfriend to stay at home, or do I just need to take his absentee ballot with me? Those are jokes, guys. We got to make this fun. And so I see so much more energy coming about. And I see also what I would think in my state, more of the Republican media even kind of taking a stop and pause and being like, is this the right message that we need to be sending? Is this the right conversations that we need to be having with their constituents and the right angle that we need to be taking as press? So I take all these things as very big words of encouragement in hopes that we'll see success here in Oklahoma.
Great. And going to the chat just for a moment, here's one question that I thought was especially interesting is, what was the catalyst that made you decide to run? Was there a certain experience? Was there a certain moment for you that pushed you toward this campaign?
The world is burning wasn't enough. I'm just kidding. So I already told you a little bit about my background. I am from Oklahoma. I'm from Stillwell, Oklahoma, best place in the world. Lowest life expectancy. I was also abused as a child. So I spent much of my time in several different communities. And what I didn't see as I grew up and went on and took a career in cybersecurity, I've traveled to, every state other than Alaska, 14 countries. And I did that because of work ethic, but I did that also knowing that I needed to build myself up. And I wanted to come back eventually and do something for my community, not really knowing what that was. I've built skills that aren't present in the US Senate, cybersecurity, data, technology, and understanding. And so that was really frustrating to me. I also have worked under poor leadership, people who lead with ego versus humility and love and compassion for people. And so that was a huge motivator because I understand as a woman what it's like to be in a marginalized community, especially working, again, in cybersecurity, an industry that's less than 1% women, especially in executive leadership. And so it was just incredibly disheartening to me to see so many leaders not understand, what they are doing, what their rhetoric is doing to people, and the number of people they're leaving behind, and what that is doing to our country. So it was several calls to action, but I made the decision in November of 2020.
Well, great. We'll leave it there. And we're glad you did make that decision. So good luck on the campaign trail. For everybody watching, that's Madison Horn running in Oklahoma. Okay. We were going to go to Pennsylvania superstar Malcolm Kenyatta, but we are just getting word now that he's dealing with an emergency in his district that he's dealing with tonight, which means that we're in for a video now from a super volunteer. It's time to meet a Field Team 6 super organizer who does so much that we call her the czar of most things. It's Sharon Lord Greenspan.
I do a lot for Field Team 6 because I absolutely love the organization. And the more I do, the more I can keep my anxiety at bay. I run our postcarding program with my partner, Janet Ho. I work on the newsletter. I run all of our Zoom rooms. I also update our volunteer ops page, which is very important because that's where everybody goes to find out what they can do to help save democracy. I'm incredibly proud of our postcarding program. We'll definitely hit 1 million before the election.
We are at Linda Lauer's house tonight for a postcard writing party.
Our volunteers, we have so many and they're working so hard. I'm not sure that anyone really thought that postcards was going to be an effective way to get people registered, but in our database, we have some unregistered voters who don't list a phone number that can be texted or called. And so the only way to reach them is by snail mail. And that's us. That's where we come in. No voter left behind.
Hold the floor. A 24-hour marathon people's filibuster. Raising money for voter registration renegades. Field Team 6.
I love Field Team 6 because there's an element of joy and humor.
Just you wait.
Hey, it's Sharon from Field Team 6 coming at you from a closet.
And here's you registering to vote.
Maybe some people need doom and gloom to get them going. I need the opposite. There's always something we can do.
This country is bigger than you and me.
Let's never stop fighting.
I will not yield.
Let's make each other laugh.
Field Team 6.
Because laughing and joy in the face of this crap is subversive. I don't get out of bed for anything more than free, so.
Yeah. Okay, and thank you for devoting your brilliance, your hilarity, and countless hours to the cause, Sharon. Now it's time to go to the West End, the tipping point state, Wisconsin, ground zero in our fight for democracy. It's always ends up in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district, which is a true swing district, State Senator Brad Pfaff has stepped up to run for the U.S. House. Before his election to the state Senate, Brad led the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. He's also held senior positions with the U.S. Department of Agriculture Farm Service Agency, where he worked for the best interest of family farmers and rural communities. As congressman, Brad will fight to lower the cost of prescription drugs and healthcare in general, and he'll defend protections for pre-existing conditions. Obviously, all of that is and has been a target for the Republican Party. As congressman, Brad will fight to lower. Actually, let's switch over to his opponent, Derek Van Orden. On the other hand, he was part of the armed insurrection on January 6th. So yeah, difficult choice, huh? Please welcome Senator Brad Pfaff.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope you're all well. This is Brad Pfaff, and I'm talking to you from the beautiful upper Midwest, Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district, the rolling hills, coulees, and valleys along the Mississippi River. This is a seat that we as Democrats need to hold. Currently, Congressman Ron Kind is a longtime Democrat, and he's retiring. And I am running against an insurrectionist, someone who was in a restricted area, on the Capitol grounds, on the Capitol steps on January 6th, that shameful, awful, deadly day. This individual doesn't have the temperament, the judgment, or the character to serve in Congress. In June of 2021, he marched into a public library and he verbally harassed a teenage librarian aide about a book display that was celebrating June as Gay Pride Month. He verbally harassed this teenage librarian aide over his displeasure about the book display. And on top of that, last fall, he tried to get on an airplane, a domestic flight, with a loaded handgun. He is on probation with TSA. He shouldn't be anywhere near our nation's capital. But sadly, Kevin McCarthy and the Republican majority have put a lot of money into him. If elected, he will not work for the people of this district. He will sit side by side with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. He has the maturity of Matt Gaetz. That is the type of member of Congress that a major political party is putting forward as their nominee. We can do better. I am a state senator. Previous to that, I served as our state secretary of agriculture, where I stood up for our family farmers and our rural residents. I was an appointee in the Obama administration, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Farm Service Agency. I know rural people. I know rural communities. As a Democrat, I will always make sure that we fight for the interest of our people to move us forward. I ask for your assistance. I need your assistance. This is a very, very swing seat. And I'll tell you, how this seat goes will determine what happens in the U.S. Senate when we need to retire Ron Johnson. Mandela Barnes needs to do well in this congressional district. I can help him. I am helping him. Together we will win. And for Tony Evers to get reelected as governor, and we must have Governor Evers reelected. We cannot have this supermajority in the state legislature with Republicans and turn around and have a Republican governor. That will really, really set this state back. But in order for the two of them to continue to move their campaigns forward, they have to do well in this district. We're well positioned. We're 6 weeks away from victory. And so I'm extremely excited to be here tonight. I want to say thank you for everything you're doing. And please, please, you're always among friends when you come to Wisconsin here. I would welcome you into this district, Western and Central Wisconsin, Wisconsin 3. Thanks for having me.
Brad, thank you so much. And I have a quick question for you. You know, running right now against an insurrectionist sympathizer, obviously that's something that the people of Wisconsin have to recognize. And I'm curious how that's played out with independents and Republicans, the people who you wouldn't ordinarily assume would be sympathetic to your campaign. What have you heard from people, not necessarily on the left, but even those in the middle and on the right who you know, kind of see what's happening in the Republican Party, especially with regard to January 6th, and view that as untenable?
They're scared. They realize that this isn't the Western Wisconsin and Central Wisconsin values of hard work, dedication, and resilience, and where a community comes together. They know that Derek Van Orden is beyond the pale. They realize that what happened in our nation's capital on January 6th was a real threat to our democracy. They realize that we have to stop that. They also recognize the fact that the Republican Party has gone too far here. And that is why I'm really excited about the energy and momentum that we have. But I'll be upfront with you. We are taking on a financial behemoth. They have put a lot of money into this seat. They want to win this seat because they view it as flipping the House of Representatives. Remember, Democrats only have a 5-seat majority in the U.S. House. If they capture this seat, they're that much closer. And if they capture this seat, it really slows down the effort of Mandela Barnes for the U.S. Senate, as well as the governor's race here in Wisconsin. I know this district. I know the people and the communities of this district. They know me. The thing is this, we got to get across the finish line. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure the values of Western Wisconsin are shared in Washington, D.C., because I'll tell you, those are values of hard work, dedication, and resilience, and it's a sense of community. If I could boil this race down to 2 words, it is one of the candidates is about chaos. I am about community, chaos versus community, and I am confident the people of this district will choose community every single day.
Excellent. Well, we'll leave it there. Brad, thank you so much. And, you know, for people watching, we've learned the hard lessons before, that everything runs through Wisconsin. So pay attention, Wisconsin. That is, you know, time and time again, the #1 state that we have to focus on, to not forget, to pay attention to. It's being led right now by a state party that's been crushing it. I think the Wisconsin Democrats have won 11 out of the last 12 statewide elections. So they're a good,
Wonderful.
Good people who know what they're doing right now, and we have good candidates like Brad right here. So again, make sure that, you know, if you're watching, listening to this right now, that you remember Brad's name and visit his website and see what you can do to help him out there in Wisconsin.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks again to Brad. So it just makes sense now to meet one of Field Team 6's biggest champions of in-person voter drives, and the leader of many in Wisconsin, including one this month in Brad's 3rd district at the University of Wisconsin campus in River Falls and Eau Claire, that registered 45 new voters. Meet the relentlessly positive, positively irreplaceable Judy Shatkin.
I'm Judy Shatkin, and I live in the suburbs of Chicago in Lake County, which is very close to Wisconsin.
Judy is an accomplished jazz pianist, a medical doctor, a meditator, a Whole Foods plant-based eater, and now a super volunteer for Field Team 6, registering Democrats in the vital swing state of Wisconsin.
I am registering people at this school fair in honor of Father's Day. I live so close to Wisconsin, so I go every weekday now to Milwaukee to register voters. It is just over an hour drive to get to Milwaukee, but I care about our country and democracy, and I want democracy to exist.
Before 2020, Judy was not politically active, but the creeping authoritarianism of the Republican Party, as well as the Black Lives Matter protests of that summer, spurred her to get involved.
But I realized that I can't do this alone. Like, I need to have a team. Like, I need to, help recruit more people.
Hi, this is Judy, and I just went to the Pick and Save in Milwaukee and trained 3 volunteers.
I'm just hoping that my presence at the training, since I'm local, is, helps people to take that next step, beyond just, watching and listening.
Thank you, Judy, for registering Democrats to save the world and for inspiring others to do the same.
I'm just trying to do my best to get people registered so that people can decide their futures instead of corporations.
Excellent. Now, before, when I was speaking to Madison Horn, and I mentioned how important it is to run candidates everywhere, because, if we don't run these candidates everywhere, we can't win everywhere. I think a prime example of that is in Orange County, California, where, the Republican Party had this stranglehold all over Orange County. And then we started running candidates like one who needs no introduction, but I'll give her one anyway, and that is Katie Porter. Katie Porter, who is now the powerhouse of the House of Representatives. Katie Porter, the person basically unilaterally responsible for the fact that we have free COVID vaccines and tests across the United States. That is thanks to the fact that we were able to run strong candidates even in reliably red districts. So without further ado, I'm going to throw right now to a video of Katie Porter. Stand by, coming at you any second now. Welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen. We go out west to California's 47th district to hear from a candidate who needs no introduction, Katie Porter.
Thank you to Field Team 6 and to all of the people who are part of that team. The work that you do really, really inspires and powers campaigns around the country. There are no off years. There are no off cycles in democracy. That means that it's time to go.
Excellent. And With that said, along those same lines, I think that we have to go into another video, and that is a candidate out of North Carolina who we spoke with last time, and that's Jeff Jackson. He is a superstar. He was running for the U.S. Senate along with Cheri Beasley. He eventually stepped out of the way so that Cheri Beasley could get the nomination, but he is still running for the U.S. House of Representatives. He is as good a candidate as you could possibly find. We spoke with him last week as well, so here's a quick video from that meeting as well. Let's go to the great state of North Carolina and meet Jeff Jackson. He's running to serve as U.S. Representative for North Carolina's 11th district. Please welcome a friend of Field Team 6, Jeff Jackson.
If you're here for the first time, like I was a few months ago, and you're trying to suss out, are these folks real? Is this a good place for your time, energy, and money? Y'all, trust me. I got 2 kids waiting to have dinner back there. I said, hold on, I gotta go talk to Field Team 6. Y'all, this is for real.
There you go. You heard it from Jeff Jackson. Next, I think, if you've checked out Field Team 6 before, you know that having fun is a big part of this, especially with Jason Berlin. So I'm going to go to a quick video right now starring Jason that I think you might find entertaining.
Hey, I'm Jason Berlin with Field Team 6, and this is your voice. Here's you complaining about politics on social media. Here's you trading angry texts with racist Uncle Wally. And here's you registering to vote. Make your voice count. Don't be a cornhole. Register to vote. Next step, help us register new Democrats by going to fieldteam6.org and clicking on donate. Thank you.
And now let's bring back the Field Team 6 founder, Jason Berlin himself, and force him to spill the beans about their latest, greatest voting tool, the Blue Voter Guide. Jason, floor is yours.
Thank you. I had to gain 20 pounds for that role, by the way. So by now, you may have picked up that Field Team 6 registers new Democrats, and plenty of them. The problem is that the biggest thing standing in the way of newly registered voters voting is that they don't know who to vote for. BlueVoterGuide.org solves that problem. So BlueVoterGuide.org is a new, unique get out the vote tool that's made for and by the grassroots. Voters enter their address and their ballot appears. They see all their candidates, propositions, and judges. And right next to each one, they see a list of endorsements from groups on the left, aggregated. There's a list of them right there to help make your voting choices smarter, faster, and smoother. It's progressive, it's simple, it is shareable. So it brings along all voters, including hesitant first-timers, making voting easier. Also, when you're done, you can seamlessly share your personalized ballot choices with your cousin who is going to vote but doesn't know who to vote for. Here you go. Here's your cheat sheet. Family, friends, social media, you can share it. And it operates in all our 9 key battleground states. That's Arizona, California, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Wisconsin. And I'm just going to show it to you because we're super proud of it. And it is going to be only as effective as the people who hear about it. So we need your help spreading the word. Here's what it looks like. You type in your address. Let's say you live in La Crosse, Wisconsin. You just click build my ballot. And there's your ballot. Oh, look, I get to vote for Brad Pfaff. You can check off your choices. This meter right here shows you your progress down the ballot. You see the Republican, candidates, but you don't get to choose them because this is the Blue Voter Guide, So there's Derek Van Orden, insurrectionist. No endorsements by the left, unsurprisingly. Mandela Barnes. Let's vote for him. vote for Governor Tony Evers. It makes a super cute sound. It shows you your progress down the ballot. And when you're all done, Doug La Follette, who's been Secretary of State there for, I think, 140 years. He's wonderful, by the way. So let's just say I'm done with my ballot. When you're done, you can view your ballot and then share it. Hey, confetti, opa. And then from there, you can always go back and modify it. You can name it Jason's Amazing Choices. You can share it. Facebook, Twitter, email, other platforms. Copy the link and hang on to it. You can print it and bring it into the voting booth to help. Super useful, intuitive, easy tool that we think is going to change the game. We just got to get it out to as many people as possible. So yes, please spread the word. There is a great video about it that is quick and easy and fun. And I'm going to drop that in the chat right now. Let everybody know about it that you can. That was a really weird sentence, but you know what I mean. And now I'm going to give it back to our human blue candidate guide, Brian Tyler Cohen.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. That actually looks really helpful. I know a lot of people have been looking for specific tools that they can use and bring with them to actually figure out who these people are that they should vote for. So thank you for that. We now head to Nevada to hear from another trailblazer, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. Born and raised in Las Vegas, Catherine Cortez Masto served 2 terms as Nevada's Attorney General before making history as the first Latina ever elected to the U.S. Senate, and Nevada's first-time senator as well. She's now one of the 50 Democrats giving us the barest majorities in the U.S. Senate, allowing her to powerfully deliver for her country and for Nevada families themselves. She's running against the Trump-endorsed Republican who headed up the Nevada group dedicated to overturning the 2020 election results, just to give you an idea of who Republicans are lifting up on their side. That race, however, is in a dead heat and actually is one of the only races, as I just saw today, that has actually moved in the direction of Republicans. So that's why Field Team 6 and their partners Onward Toward Progress are doing all that they can right now to make sure that she wins, because that state is really ground zero of what's happening in this country. So appearing by video tonight, please welcome Senator Catherine Cortez Masto.
Hi, Field Team 6. This is Senator Catherine Cortez Masto. And I am grateful to each of you for the work you're doing to elect Democrats up and down the ballot in Nevada. This is a critical election year that will determine the future direction of not just Nevada, but the whole country. I'm so grateful to have you all in this fight with me. We are going to need all the grassroots help that we can get from volunteers like you to get out the vote and keep Nevada and our country on the right track. We have to continue the progress that Democrats have made to lower costs for families, to create more good paying jobs, to tackle the climate crisis, and yes, to protect a woman's right to choose. So together, I know we can get it done. Keep up the great work, Field Team 6. Register Democrats and save the world.
Excellent. And also, I should add that Nevada is among the most pro-choice states in the entire country. So, if ever there was a reason to get out to the polls, just take a look at what's happening in Nevada. Nevada, is running anti-choice candidates on the right, and then we have someone like Catherine Cortez Masto, who's been a champion for women's reproductive rights. So, Nevada, pay attention, because that primary issue is on the ballot in November. I would also be remiss not to mention that Field Team 6's biggest registration campaign right now is targeting Nevada, almost for exactly that reason, in partnership with Onward Toward Progress. OTP is raising the budget for Field Team 6 to execute a massive multi-pronged registration campaign that aims to add 25,000 Democrats to the voter rolls and to help elect Senator Cortez Masto as well as other Democrats up and down the ballot. Now, I'd like to introduce you to another major force who's helped Field Team 6's candidates win their elections. Meet phone bank czar Ashley Craig, a volunteer and super organizer who makes sure that they connect with and register as many new Democrats as they can all year, every year.
I'm Jesuit educated, so I've always been taught that you're supposed to make a difference. Like, the more you have, the more you're supposed to give. I oversee all of the Field Team 6 phone banks.
Hello, what do you want?
So what that entails is acting as the main point of contact for anyone that wants to run a phone bank or any volunteer that has any issues with phone banks. Whenever I lead a phone bank, I also like to phone bank myself. I think the key to success is having the right level of expectations.
How's that?
You may not reach anybody, but then somebody else who was on your team that day reached 4 people. So that's a win for everybody. Every single call you make is helpful. If you find out that somebody's moved, that's great. We can update that information. If it's the wrong number, disconnected, all of those are really helpful, and it definitely cleans up our data. Our data is really our power. So having that data accurate is incredibly important. Collectively, we've made a lot of calls. We've made over 100,000 calls this year alone. So that's pretty darn good. I think if we all go in with a great attitude that we're making a difference, then that makes it for a really rewarding experience. Sorry. We need to redo that. By the way, that is very common with my phone banks. I have 4 dogs and they always bark during my phone bank trainings. I was a lodging and gaming analyst at Morgan Stanley. I know Donald Trump. I met with him before and I refused to have anything to do with him professionally because he was not a legitimate business person. So I was absolutely horrified that he won in 2016. So after that happened, I told myself there was no way it was going to happen again. So I put every ounce of energy I had into electing Joe Biden in 2020. I just love Field Team 6. I love the organization of the group. I love the professionalism. I love the attitude, the kind of fun camaraderie that comes with it. It makes it really easy for all of us to get to work and to be effective.
Who's calling? Well, what number is this? Or what number are you calling? Well, I'm calling your number.
Okay, we had a predetermined lineup, but we're actually going to interrupt that lineup now to bring you one of the most exciting new political stars on the national scene. That is Maxwell Alejandro Frost. The 25-year-old organizing phenom came out on top of a 10-candidate primary, 10 people. And since Florida's 10th congressional district is solidly Democratic, that means on November 8th, he will be elected Representative Frost, becoming the first Gen Z member of the United States Congress and the first Afro-Cuban American member of Congress. His victory wasn't just moving, it was transformative. Maxwell's story is a parade of impressive achievements since he became an organizer at age 15, including working as a national organizer for the Powerhouse March for Our Lives, fighting for abortion rights at the ACLU, and helping pass the statewide amendment that restored voting rights to former felons. Now he's running to end gun violence, to enact Medicare for all, and to pass stronger climate reforms, among other issues. Please welcome the next U.S. representative for Florida's 25th district, Maxwell Alejandro Frost.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for the great intro. It is amazing to be here with Field Team 6. First off, I just want to thank everybody so much for your work and what y'all do. We know that in order to expand the electorate, we got to register voters, right? And we got to meet people where they're at. I think a lot of times we forget that the true strength of our movement isn't what's going on when everything is in the news, but it's the work that's going on the ground every single day. That's what I learned working at March for Our Lives. That's what I learned at the ACLU, that it's about the people doing the grassroots work every day. So thank you so much for the incredible work that y'all do. My name is Maxwell Alejandro Frost. I'm the Democratic nominee for Congress here in Florida's 10th Congressional District. It's Orlando, Florida. From Pine Hills to Bithla, we have such a beautiful district here and incredibly diverse. I always like to start with a little bit about my story and where I started. My journey started 10 years ago because of the Sandy Hook shooting. I remember going to the memorial in DC at 15 years old and sitting across from a guy named Matthew Soto at the vigil. Matthew lost his sister, Vicky Soto, in the shooting. When she heard the gunshots, she hid her class in the cabinets and in the closet to save their lives, but her life wasn't saved and she was murdered. And I remember sitting across from Matthew and like seeing a 16-year-old with the demeanor of a 60-year-old crying over his sister who was murdered for just going to school that day. Changed my life forever. I went straight to my hotel room. I called my mom. I remember my mom's a public school educator of 30 years. She retires this year. I thought about my sister and I dedicated my life to fighting for a world where that pain I saw in Matthew's eyes doesn't have to exist for anybody. And y'all know how it is. You get in for one reason, and then you find out that there's a lot of problems, but for every problem, there's so many solutions, and for every solution, there's countless people doing the work. We won this race because we knocked every damn door. We won this race because we called every voter. We won this race because no matter who you were, prime voter, not prime voter, you mattered. And at the end of the day, this campaign is about love. Because when you love somebody, you want them to have health care. You want them to live in a democracy that it works for everybody. You want them to live free of gun violence. You want them to be healthy by virtue of being human. And that's what this battle is about. It's the battle of hearts and minds, looking at people dead in the eyes and saying, you deserve better because of your humanity. And that should be enough for anybody. That's how we're going to flip this state blue here in Florida. And that's how we're going to hopefully change this country to be the world that we all deserve. As y'all know, tomorrow, a Category 4 hurricane for the first time in 100 years is hitting Tampa Bay. We are bunkered down here, but I really wanted to make sure I stopped by to thank y'all so much for your work, tell you a little bit about my story, and hopefully it can inspire at least one or two people to continue the work that's going on. So again, y'all, thank you so much for having me. Have a great night. Keep it up, and let's keep working together to save our democracy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maxwell. If we can keep you for one quick sec, I do have a question for you, and that is, so often we're used to seeing, octogenarians and septuagenarians in Congress here, and kind of gotten used to a certain way that we have that those people can interact with voters from that perspective. But how have you, as somebody as young as you, how have you been able to most effectively connect with Gen Zs and young people? Because that's obviously like a major elusive problem in politics, is how do we get young people involved? So what have you found is the most effective thing besides being young?
Yeah, it helps to have young candidates. But, I'll say two things. The first one, I think, has to do with where we're meeting people and how we're meeting them where they're at, right? I think all too often, we know that it's the same voters who get their doors knocked on during election day. It's the same voters who get the same calls. There's that universe, and I've been a part of it, right? I've been a field director on multiple races. I know the game, right? But what we have to look at in order to protect our democracy and win this era for real and turn out young people is expanding that scope and really looking at everyone and knowing that sometimes the fruit of that work, we might not see it that same year, right? But what we know from movements in this country is it takes time to build power, just as it takes time to have change. We shouldn't think differently about those things. So building power in the community is something that we have to continue to do. The last thing I'll say about it is I think it's about giving young people something to vote for and not against. We're in a generation that's been through mass shooting after mass shooting. We've gone through more fire drills. We've gone through more mass shooting drills in our schools and fire drills. I remember one of the first social movements I experienced in elementary school was Occupy Wall Street, and just seeing that on the television. And that's all we've known, right? And so I think an important part of politics and getting people together is showing people what we don't know, what can be a different future, what can be that world we can live in. And that hope and inspiration is what is really why I'm still in this work and how I think we're going to get young people out. Let's bridge the gap between cooling consciousness and really bring that agenda straight to young people. But I'll also say Gen Z is voting, right? In 2020, we had the highest youth voter turnout in the history of our country. The cycle before that, the midterms, we had the highest youth voter turnout in the history of a midterm. So young people are turning out in higher numbers than ever. Another statistic that I just found out is that of all the generations alive right now, at our current age, we're voting at higher numbers, right? And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to pit generations against one another, but youth vote has always been a problem. And what we've seen over the years is it's been going up, and Gen Z, we're voting at the highest levels at our current age. Most of our generation isn't old enough to vote yet. So wait around, we're working and we need your help. So thank you so much.
I think what you said about recognizing that we're not going to get things right away is so smart, because for so long there's been this like what I think is a mistaken notion that all voters care about is just whatever's right in front of them. If they can just get a check in their pocket or whatever it is, that they need something instantaneous, otherwise they don't care. But I think something that for our generation, well, you're a generation younger than me, but for younger generations, what we care about are big picture projects, are saving the environment. And I don't think anybody's under this notion that we're going to do it tomorrow, but everybody's invested in it. It's a long-term play, and everybody recognizes that. Same with gun safety reforms, that it's going to be an incremental progress, but that we're all in for the fight because we know that what we have now isn't working. And so I think that the more we can get people to recognize that it's not all about, just instantaneous results, that we are people who recognize the importance of taking these steps in the right direction. I think the quicker we recognize that, the better it'll be. So I'm glad that you brought that up. One last question for you, and that is, what advice do you have for other candidates who are running right now in terms of connecting with younger voters who themselves might not be that young?
Yeah, well, like I said before, it's meeting people where they're at, and know that there are young people, yes, on college campuses, but also outside of college campuses, right? They're all across your district. And I think really doing events, doing things that'll meet young people where they're at, whether it's social media, whether it's text, whether it's doing events that are intertwined with culture. I'm a musician. I went to an arts high school, middle school. My dad's a musician. I really believe in the power of culture and music, and our campaign was really integrated with that. Pride last year, we rented a flatbed truck, and we were too cheap to make our own float, so we rented a flatbed rider truck, and then we strapped my speakers on it from just the shows I do, and we put a generator on it and put my salsa band from high school on it, and we did like a reunion, and that was what we did, and it brought a lot of new people into the campaign as we went along the parade route. So many people hopped in, and they signed up for shifts, and it was the first time they've ever been involved. So I'm not saying you gotta dangerously put a band on the back of a moving flatbed truck.
But you're not saying that we shouldn't do that. So I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. Well, maybe legally I should say you shouldn't, in case someone gets hurt. But be creative. And I think young people are just looking for how this work can be so tiresome, right? And it can be draining. And sometimes you just want to throw your computer on the floor and you want to scream, and those emotions are important. But I think when someone's looking at getting into something for the first time, they want to see the joy in it. And there is joy in this work. I mean, y'all, look how many people are on this call. You're obviously on it because you do enjoy it. And I think that joy, the more we can spread it with people, I mean, that's the type of politics we're fighting for. And the way we fight for it is also important.
Yeah, I think that's perfectly put. There is a reason that Republicans so often defer to the politics of fear, and that's because I think that they recognize how strong the opposite could be. And so, as long as they continue to scare their base into thinking that they're being replaced, or that there's drugs are getting the whole Fox News fever dream stuff. But I think that there is a reason. It's that hope works so much better than that. So, Maxwell, with that said, thank you so much for joining, and stay safe to you and your family and everybody out there. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah, and thank you all so much for having me. My website's frostforcongress.com if folks want to keep up with us. Have a good night.
Okay, now to our next truly standout candidate, Rochelle Garza, who's running for Attorney General of Texas. She has fought to keep families together during Trump's devastating family separation policies. She also fought for reproductive rights for immigrant teens in detention, including a landmark case where a pregnant 17-year-old was denied her right to choose by the Trump administration. Rochelle took on Trump, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who tried to meddle in that case, and she won. She's now running against true cartoon villain Ken Paxton, who himself gives scumbags a bad name. Paxton fought to overturn the results of the 2020 election. He's currently under investigation by the FBI, and only this week we found out that he avoided getting served a subpoena. Claimed that he was afraid for his family's well-being because there was a stranger lurking outside, and so what he decided to do was send his wife out to the car instead, because that's what you do when a stranger's lurking outside. So anyway, that is Ken Paxton, ripe for replacement by this candidate right here, Rochelle Garza.
Hello, Field Team 6. This is Rochelle Garza. I am your Democratic nominee for Texas Attorney General. I'm a civil rights attorney, a fifth-generation Tejana born in the Rio Grande Valley, where I live today with my husband and 6-month-old daughter. I'm so sorry I couldn't join you all today in person, but I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about myself. I'm running for Texas Attorney General to unseat criminally indicted Ken Paxton and to fight for our families and our children. That means we need to tackle all of the issues that underpin a healthy family, because for the majority of us, that's what really matters. The job of the Attorney General is supposed to be the people's lawyer. But Ken Paxton has been abusing his power and wasting our tax dollars on political stunts instead of protecting our rights as Texans. He is corrupt and he is a threat to the Texas we love. Paxton has never seen a crime he didn't want to commit because he does not believe the law applies to him. That's how he came to be under criminal indictment for 7 years without trial, to be investigated by the FBI for bribery, and to have a professional misconduct charge brought against him for trying to overturn the 2020 election. Now, as an attorney, my job is to use the law to make powerful people treat my clients fairly, to recognize that we are all equal under the law. And this has been a constant in my legal career. In 2017, I represented a 17-year-old detained immigrant, Jane Doe, who was denied her right to an abortion by the Trump administration. It's what led me to take on Brett Kavanaugh in the only abortion case he heard as an appellate judge. My work on that case resulted in the Garza Notice. It protects teens in immigration detention from being denied access to abortion care, even in these dark times. I took on Donald Trump, Brett Kavanaugh, and Ken Paxton and won, and I am ready to do it again for the people of Texas in November. Ken Paxton is hell-bent on pursuing his own ideology and power at the expense of women and the health of our families, but we can beat him. Paxton is the weakest statewide incumbent, and the polls are consistently showing that we are within striking distance. The Dallas Morning News UT Tyler poll has us within 2 points, and the University of Houston poll has us within 3 points. We can win, but we need everyone to get out and vote. And that's why I'm grateful for the work Field Team 6 is doing throughout Texas. Registering voters is the first step in making sure that we elect leaders who look like us, who represent our values, and who are going to do right by Texans. So thank you for the work you're doing to ensure that every eligible Texan gets registered to vote in time for this year's crucial election. Together, we can build a Texas that we can be proud to hand down to our children. But it takes all of us to make sure that every one of our votes counts. I'm proud to be in this fight with you. So let's get our neighbors out to the polls this November and go Field Team 6, registered Democrats. We can win this.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, if you thought we were done with Wisconsin, you thought wrong, because we are lucky enough to have our final candidate tonight, the state's inspiring Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who is running for the U.S. Senate. Mandela Barnes is the son of a hardworking union family. From his days as an organizer to his work in the state assembly and as Wisconsin's first Black lieutenant governor, Mandela Barnes has consistently put in the work to connect with every community across the state. Now he's running for the Senate to rebuild the middle class and ensure that every child, regardless of zip code, has a shot at success. Unlike the current senator in Wisconsin, Mandela will go to the Senate and put working class families first. He'll stand up to lobbyists and big corporations that Ron Johnson has decided to himself side with. And Mandela Barnes will fight to create opportunity in every corner of Wisconsin. Wisconsin deserves to be represented by someone who understands firsthand the challenges that we're facing, and that's why we need Mandela. So without further ado, I am proud to announce the next great senator from the state of Wisconsin, Mandela Barnes.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I can tell you, you can never be done with Wisconsin. That's just the way things go here. Elections are too close for people to ever be done with us. And that's why I just want to thank you all so much for all of your help. Really excited to be here, and all the work that you do for these next 6 weeks, these next 42 days, or 41 days until Election Day, however you want to count this. The work that you've already done is move mountains, but the work that you do in these last 6 weeks is absolutely going to make the difference, not just for the people in my home state of Wisconsin, but for people all across this entire country. And having gotten my start in grassroots organizing as a field organizer, I can literally say that You're an inspiration to me and so many others. And, you know, I would say as a former organizer, but I still see myself as an organizer. Wouldn't be here without my organizing background. But I want to say that I know how hard and how essential the work is that you all are doing every day. Also know that it is what will make the difference. This is make or break for November, not just make or break for this campaign, the state, but for the entire country and the direction of it. Now, like many of you, I don't come from a wealthy family. I don't come from a political family. I grew up in the heart of the city of Milwaukee in a proud union household. My dad worked third shift on an assembly line. My mother was a public school teacher, and those jobs were a ticket to the middle class for us. And unfortunately, it's a ticket too many people can't get anymore. And that's because we've been left behind by politicians that would rather serve the interests of their wealthy donors and to help people like us. People who care more about their own bank accounts than what's best for everyday people. And unfortunately, my senator is the worst part of this entirely broken system. He's not willing to lift a finger to help everyday people. And it feels like the deck is stacked against us, but people still show up and fight because that's what we do in Wisconsin. Folks don't want handouts. People just want a fair shot. And in this campaign, regardless of how misrepresented we are by Ron Johnson, we know that that's not what will win this race for us. And that's why we lead this fight with our values and our vision to move this state and the entire country forward. And when I look around, I see hope, I see promise. I also see people who are on the front lines and people who are behind the scenes doing the tireless work that we need to make this idea of a better America a reality. And nobody, especially Ron Johnson, gets to take us backwards in that quest. So this year, I can say that we need you all more than ever. You showed up in 2018, you showed up in 2020. We need you once again. I'm not too proud to say that we need you because it's the absolute truth. And people ask me, how do we get more folks to show up this year? And the answer is easy. You all know it better than anybody. It is simple. We have to talk to them. We want people to show up. We talk to them regardless of what community they come from. If we expect them or want them to show up, the least we can do is engage in conversation. We got to show up in every community, not just during an election year. We got to show up every year, every single year to remind people that we actually have their backs. And we also got to let people know that we care about them long before we ask for their vote and long after the election is decided. And after that, we will never stop fighting for those folks because you all know better than anybody. A vote that we take for granted is a vote that we will surely lose. Now, whether it's Green Bay, whether it's Milwaukee, whether it's Oshkosh or Athens, we have to meet people where they are. And that's what you've all been doing. That's what you've been doing all across the country, building coalitions, having the important conversations, and bringing more people into the fight, which is the most exciting part for me. Now, the urgency of this moment, this election, this cycle is immense. So for the next 6 weeks, we have to lean in with everything we have. We have to be there for our communities. We have to be there for each other. And we all have to move forward together. Forward is Wisconsin's motto for a reason. It's time for us to elect people who understand what we're going through in Wisconsin. It's time to elect a senator that will fight for all of Wisconsin, not just corporate lobbyists, somebody that will join Tammy Baldwin in being a real partner. And look, I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy, but you know that. That's why you're involved in this race. That's why you're involved in this fight, because it is tough. But those difficult challenges are that much easier when we join, when we organize, and we do it together. And in our greatest challenges, we also have our greatest opportunity, a real opportunity to promote our democracy, to protect our democracy, to uplift and strengthen our democracy. The opportunity to protect reproductive freedom. We have an opportunity to rebuild the middle class that gave me so much opportunity, and making sure that every child growing up in every zip code has at least the same opportunities I had growing up. And by being here, each and every one of you has done something incredible. Y'all are the folks that see a fire and run towards it. I'm incredibly proud to know you, proud to be here, proud to be with you. Instead of running away, you ran to the problem. You stood up and said that you believe in a better future and you are doing the work to get us there. And that's exactly the kind of energy that we will need for this next 6 weeks, because in the face of adversity, together we have no option but to choose action. So thank you all for being here with me tonight. I can tell you, you give me the energy to keep fighting. 6 weeks to go. Let's all move forward together.
Awesome. Thank you so much to Mandela Barnes. Again, we are all behind you. This is among, just say it. This is one of the two most flippable seats in the nation. So we're pulling for you. Thank you for running. Thank you for being such an inspiring candidate. We appreciate you taking the time. With that said, now one person who has been instrumental in Field Team 6's efforts is the truly tireless super organizer Deb Verla. She's the other person with the title Czar of Most Things, since there is literally no end to her activism. So here she is, Deb Verla.
For Field Team 6, I run their text bank program, and I also run their Media Storm program. A lot of the people who come to my trainings, both for the text banks and for the media storms, they're nervous, they're anxious about it. It's using technology in a way that they've never used it before. So a big part of my job is getting them over that initial fear, or over that initial reluctance. The text bank is where we put together a list of potentially non-registered voters, and we reach out to those people by text message and ask them to go and register at our voterizer.org website. They can just click the button on their phone and register to vote. You can reach a lot of people fairly quickly with a text bank, as opposed to being out on the street reaching out to people in person.
Avast! Ye should join Field Team 6 Social Storming.
A social storm is essentially free advertising using social media.
Social storming is when a small group of activists all post, like, and share things on social media.
I love doing the media storms. People come back week after week and they give advice to the new people. So it's really built a sense of community. Now that we've got this squad out there of people sending out tweets with us, we're getting our message out in front of 50 and 60 million sets of eyeballs every week. The two things that are most important to me are abortion rights and LGBTQ rights. Having a queer daughter makes me very aware of the kinds of problems that so many people go through. And if I can make a lot of noise about these issues, then yeah, we're going to do it. It's going to help save the world.
Thank you so much to Deb and all of the other activists who have sacrificed so much to just kind of make this their number one thing, and the results are speak for themselves here. So a huge thank you to those people and to all of our amazing candidates tonight. Thank you for stepping up to fight in the most important battle of our time.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you, Brian, for being our incredible host. It really is tough to decide who is more inspiring between our super volunteers and these candidates. It's amazing. I feel like I could run a marathon right now. I couldn't, but I feel like I could. Thank you also to our volunteer staff, including the events team for running this call, the amazing Mervis Reisig for calling, I think, every candidate in the country. And the incredible Jeff Seeloff for creating all these volunteer videos that are so good. Thank you also to all of you, every volunteer and donor hero on this call. We are nothing without you, and we're so much with you. We've done so much good and will continue to. Thank you really from the bottom of our hearts for everything you do. If you'd like to help Field Team 6 get all these champions tonight elected across the country, or continue helping, go to fieldteam6.org and sign up for an event now under volunteer ops, or donate. That also helps immensely. It actually costs us a staggeringly low $1.50 to help register every new Democratic voter. You can do both at fieldteam6.org, and we'll drop those links in the chat. There are 42 days until the election and 14 days until voter registration deadlines hit in Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Nevada, Texas. So we got to make every day count. Everything you do from now till the election counts 10 times more than it normally does. Every hour you spend, every dollar you spend. Like, people are waking up like crazy, so it's super effective. So let's do it. Let's make every day count.
With that said, you know, if you're out there watching, wondering when the best time to join the fight is, that time is right now. Not in November, not in October, but today. So please, please, please volunteer and donate because we need everyone in this fight. As for myself, if you want to stay up on the latest progressive developments, you can sign up to subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, or subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're dropping those links in the chat right now as well. But more importantly, from Field Team 6 and from me, thank you to everybody here watching for doing the work that turns passion into results. Now, let's go win the midterms. Thank you so much to everyone and have a great night.